For the past month or so, I've been running my electric bicycle off of my solar panels, and even though my solar panels have a lot of issues, like my setup is very flawed, these 200 watts of solar panels in this spot that gets a lot of shade is still enough to give me plenty of battery power. Oh, by the way, I think I got these for like $100 a piece off of, I think it was eBay or Amazon, I can't remember. But it's about $200 of solar panels there. And I've been able to go 125 miles off of solar power so far. And I've decided that I'm never going to power this unless I really need to off of the grid power. This is now going to be an entirely solar powered electric bicycle. I'm actually quite surprised by how much range I get even from my crappy solar panel setup, because there are many issues with this that I have. First of all, I'm actually charging lead acid batteries, which you lose a good portion of the energy just from trying to charge them. So if I switch to lithium ion batteries, then I would be probably making enough to go 100 miles a week. But as it is now, I only have enough to do like 25 miles a week. But then the other issue is you actually don't need the batteries. You don't even need the charge controller. So if you're just wanting to have a solar powered e-bike, then what I'd recommend is you just hook the solar panels directly up to the BMS. Because I have a BMS circuit on here, and basically what the BMS does is you provide it with like 60 volts or just a little bit above what you want to charge the battery to. Like this battery tops out about like 51 volts or so. And so I try to provide it with at least 52 volts, maybe 55 volts, and the BMS takes care of everything. It shuts off the power when it's done charging and everything. So it's really simple. You just plug up the voltage under there. So what you could do is you could have one solar panel and have like a little step-up converter, or you could have 3 solar panels connected in series. But either way, you don't really have to have much of a controller because the BMS already is a controller. So that probably should be a lot more efficient, because then you wouldn't be charging the second battery and all that other stuff. My setup's a bit complicated because I'm also trying to like run my shed off of it and whatever, and just have these lights. But it would definitely make a lot more sense if I was just using my electric bicycle, just to have the solar panels hooked directly into the BMS of the bicycle battery. Or actually, it'd be kind of cool just to have a separate system, because I'm thinking about probably taking this month's and last month's Patreon money and putting that towards buying a bunch of solar panels. And I might just have 2 or 3 solar panels set aside just for charging electric bicycles. And then I don't have to worry about taking power from the batteries and whatnot. I don't know. That's always worth experimenting with. But as it is now, this very inefficient system is making more than enough power that I need just for like going around for bike rides every other day. Usually I go for like 12-mile bike rides. That's about average. Oh, also another issue is these are old car batteries that were taken off the recycling skid at local auto shops like Rural King and stuff like that. So not only are these lead acid, but they're crappy lead acid. So that would be another advantage. Overall, these 3 batteries here, this one is dead. I've given up on that one. It kept pulling the voltage down. These 3 batteries, they don't have enough power to fully charge my electric bicycle battery pack. And just FYI, this e-bike battery that I'm using now is my 48 volt 16 amp hour battery that I made a while back using 18650s or whatever. You can watch that video. And so that's 768 watt hours of power, which is a nice amount of power for an electric bicycle. And it gives me like, well, if I was able to fully charge this BMS is broken to where it only charges to 3.95 volts, but that's actually better, because if you don't charge it all the way, this battery is probably going to last me for decades, because if you don't charge it all the way, it's going to last for almost forever. And so I don't charge it all the way. I charge it about 50 or 60%, and it still gives me about 25 to 30 miles of range at about 15 to 20 miles an hour, which is perfectly fine for what I want. So yeah, this is just a short video. I'm hoping to document my experiments with powering my electric bicycle off of solar, because I think it's really awesome to be able to say that it's fully solar powered. It's really awesome. I hate lead acid, but I have free lead acid batteries. I'm thinking though, having even free lead acid batteries free ones are worse than no lead acid batteries. It might just be better just to get rid of these and start using lithium ion. I don't know. I regularly get people suggesting to put a solar panel on my electric bicycle, but a solar panel doesn't produce much power. It's much better to have the solar panel sitting at your shed producing power while you're out riding than to leave your bicycle outside to charge. First issue with solar panel on bicycle is that you have to leave it in the sun, and I don't want to leave my bicycle in the sun. I want to put it away when I'm done. Hey, that rhymed. And second of all, it adds weight. I think that a solar panel, at least a modern solar panel, is not very efficient. It wouldn't have enough benefit to the weight and how much it would drag down the bike. So I'm thinking the energy it would make wouldn't be as much as it costs just to move it. Thirdly, I would be afraid that if you had it too big, the wind could catch it and rip it off. And that would be pretty dangerous for anybody else, and it would be dangerous because maybe it would pull your wire out or something like that. I'm just not very happy with that idea. Although, if we get very efficient solar panels someday, where we could have like, oh, I don't know, like 40 watts, 50 watts come from that size, then definitely I'd put it on there. But as it is now, I think you could only get like maybe 10 watts or so from that. I'm not sure. As it is now, I'm running the 12 volts from the solar panel through this MPPT charge controller into this battery pack. And I'm using the battery pack into this inverter. This inverter sets it up to 120 volts AC. Then I'm using this lead acid battery charger, which I recommend for any lithium ion battery as long as you have a BMS. This basically just outputs up to like 60 volts, and it limits it to exactly 2.5 amps. Very great for charging different battery voltages up to like 60 volts or so. I definitely recommend just grabbing a lead acid battery charger for your e-bike as long as you have a BMS you can plug it into, because they're just power supplies. There's nothing really special about them, and because there's nothing really special about them, they're pretty much foolproof. Unfortunately though, every single time it goes through something, you lose efficiency. And so you lose a lot of efficiency by charging the lead acid battery. And then you lose a lot of efficiency by converting the 12 volts to 120 volts AC. Then you lose some more power by converting the AC back to DC. It's quite messed up. So what I would recommend is get a step-up boost converter. They actually sell some that go like 10 volts to 90 volts. I had one, but I packed it away somewhere. I have to go find it. And I think it can handle up to 10 or 15 amps. I would have put a fan on it. I think you would actually get a lot more power, and I actually plan to do this, at least before I hit 200 miles, to have the 12 volts just stepped up directly to like 60 volts, instead of doing all this bullshit of going to AC and then going back to DC and whatever. This is just what I had on hand, but whenever I find that step-up converter, I'll definitely start using that. Also, due to Peukert's the guy was German, so it's Peukert or whatever. Peukert's law. Basically, the more power you pull from a lead acid battery, the less efficient it is, and that really bites you bad if you're using a charger like this, because this thing pulls 2.5 amps. Actually, charges with 2.5 amps. If I were to use a step-up converter and limit it to like 300 milliamps, then I would get much more power from these batteries. So I'll probably just get more power for that also whenever I move to having a step-up converter. It'd be such a better idea. So that's pretty much it. I don't really know what else to talk about. There's a lot of things I can do to it, like, well, especially moving the solar panels like over to the white sheds, because those actually get sun. That one just doesn't really get hardly any sunlight. So also getting rid of the stupid thing of the inverter, then the DC converter, and just so many inefficiencies in my system. And so I'm pretty convinced that even with all these issues, the fact that I can still do 25 to 30 miles per week means that electric bikes go with solar power so well. I hope to make regular updates of this, so like maybe every couple hundred miles, whenever I have something to update you guys with. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really happy with this first experiment, and I would like to hear you guys' opinion on it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. See ya!